We shot a film with Danny when he was young, when he was a little kid, and it's, I mean, irony.
So is that, you said, what did you say that was called? Being a cadet?
Cadet.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Cadet. Is that, I'm trying to remember because it's been a while. Was that the same thing Jenna was
Yeah.
in?
Yes.
CEO, the Cadet Estates Org. So it's basically kids.
I was in the cadet org in the UK. Jenna was in the cadet org in California.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to circle back to this in a minute. I want to close the loop because I think we're going to be doing 2 episodes. I'm looking at the clock because we got to get to your story. Before we get to like both of your stories individually and how it happened kind of in a timeline, you had said earlier, Claire, that you testified in the Danny Masterson trial as an expert witness.
Yes.
So a lot of people out there are familiar with this. Danny Masterson from that 70s show, famous actor, was, I think after multiple trials, eventually convicted on multiple counts of rape a couple years ago and is now in prison for 30 or 35 years or something like that. And it was controversial because he's involved with Scientology and all that. When did you get involved with the trial? Was it one of the original trials that was mistrials, or how did that all go down?
Yeah, so there were 2 trials. I was approached by the DA's office in California in, September 2022.
Okay.
And interviewed and asked to testify as an expert witness. And of course, I was like, absolutely. My view is always that I will do whatever I can in whatever capacity I can to expose the abusive practices of Scientology. However, so this was September of 2022. In the first trial, the judge ruled that there was to be no testimony regarding Scientology. So I didn't end up, because of that ruling, I did not testify in that first trial.
Why did he rule that?
Because they wanted to keep the judge wanted to keep the Scientology nonsense out of the case and just have it be about what happened. So, but during that trial, the first trial, one of the lawyers for the defense for Danny's team used a Scientology book and referenced it in such a way that it basically brought it back into the case. And so then once they did that, when the second case happened, the judge was like, oh, Scientology's, everything's off now. You can talk about whatever you want, Scientology.
There was another element, though, because by my understanding, in the first case, the defense was not arguing that the events took place. They were using different lines of defense to try to get Danny Masterson off. However, approaching the second trial, they indicated that they were going to argue that the events even ever happened, which is where the judge then changed her mind, because there are written reports that are part of the case that indicate that, yes, Scientology knew what happened at the time that they happened. So when the defense changed their strategy, that was at least a part of what opened up having to include Scientology in the case, because they knew about it and were involved.
I forget, did you know Danny Masterson from in Scientology?
I did, but peripherally.
We shot a film with Danny when he was young, when he was a little kid. And it's, I mean, irony. He plays in Scientology when you do the counseling. Before you practice on a guinea pig like me, like Tom Cruise did, you practice on a doll.
Doll.
Yeah. So like you have a big giant Raggedy Ann doll there, and they put the cans in front of it, and they ask all the questions to the doll.
So much so that the movie. Huh?
Do you have security footage of Tom?
No.
Not Tom Hanks. Tom Cruise talking to a doll.
No. But the movie that he's talking about, that Danny Masterson is in, is called Use of a Doll in Auditing and TRs. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah. And in that movie, Danny Masterson plays a doll that gets drunk all the time and abuses the other girl dolls by getting them all liquored up and having his way with them. This is when he was like 12 or 13 when we shot this movie. And
Kinda
he
spooky.
played a doll called Captain Jack. And he was in a silver lame spacesuit. And he was Captain Jack. And then the other doll was called Goldie.
Mm-hmm.
And
God.
he would, as a doll, a beer bottle is like this big to him. And we had all these oversized bottles, and he would get drunk by just sniffing the fumes in a beer bottle.
Because he's a doll,
because he's a
course.
tiny little
This is
doll.
so weird. But
And he would get the other girl all liquored up too, and then get up to nonsense.
what's this called? Cosby?
No, it's called the use of a doll in auditing and TRs.
Oh my God.
Anyway, but the craziest thing was, and I don't know, I didn't see any of this, but the rumor was that something happened with him and her not in the movie. And then she might have been like victim 0.
Oh my God.
So this was
Spooky.
going on for, I mean, he was a young LA child actor.
Yeah.
He's also in Scientology. They also believe that overts are bad, but overts come from misunderstood words.
Misunderstood words?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't understand a word, that's when you start getting up to naughtiness. And so there's dictionaries everywhere in Scientology.
It's-
Well, not the Merriam-Webster.
Merriam-Webster dictionary.
So they're using our own weapons against us?
Well,
Or against you?
This is the thing. When we were there and you're studying in the course room, they have approved versions of different dictionaries. And one of the ones that they used so you wouldn't, when you're looking up a word, the worst case scenario is that you're trying to find out what a word means, and then there's 3 or 4 other words in the definition that you don't know what they mean.
You're not allowed to go past a word you don't understand.
So you could be, it's called a word chain. You could literally be looking up words for 2 weeks straight, because every time you look up a word, you find 2 more words that you don't know, and you have to use them in sentences, and you have to look up every single
definition.
every single definition for one word. It could have 14 different meanings. You have to learn each one of them and use them in sentences until you fully understand it. And then when that's
Say what
done,
it means in your own words, use it in sentences until you can easily do so, and then go on to the next definition and the next definition and the next definition. And then you look up the derivation, and then you also do the same with any idiomatic usage of the word. Use the idiom in a sentence.
and you have to look at, did you say derivation?
I said
You have to find it,
derivation.
know what the derivation is. So
Yep.
somebody is like, what is that word? You're like, oh, it means this. What's the derivation? It's fucking old Greek, bitch. I know my shit.
Oh, it's basically like who's on first with the English language.
But that's a long story to tell you. Danny Masterson was on the cover of the approved dictionary. It was a student dictionary. It was him and a bunch of other kids
On the
And
cover.
he was one of the kids. Not because he was in Scientology, because he was a child actor, model, whatever. And he
Right.
went to the frickin' Webster Student Dictionary Edition's photo shoot,
my
and he's
God.
on the cover. So when we but when we shot the movie with him, I mean, I think by that time I was in my late teens when we shot that movie. But
Yeah.
I am an actor in the movie, and I come in as a Sea Org messenger in the film, and I bust the real guy who's a suppressive, and I get Danny Masterson out of trouble, and he's allowed to continue being a training doll after that. Because the real bad guy was the guy that was in in Captain Jack's ear about getting up to all this nonsense.
You weren't thinking of the symbolism of this at the time? Like, this is kind of a little fucked up.
No,
Yeah.
no.
No. In
No, not even.
retrospect,
In retrospect,
Oh
obviously.
my God,
but
of
at
course.
the time, there's not like a moment where you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I didn't really know the story. I only knew my one part. And that I was allowed to be in the movie.
He reads whatever's on the prompter.
Yeah.
Ron Burgundy.
I literally had 1 page of dialogue. I don't know what else happened in this thing. But the crazy thing is that later, after that, is when I began working in as a quality control for the manufacturing, and I had to watch all those films over and over and over again, And I was in the goddamn films. I'm in a bunch of the Scientology training films that we did at the time. They've redone them all because also Jason Begay was in a ton of those movies. And so when he started,
and Larry Anderson,
and Larry, there's a lot of celebrities,
who have
a lot
all
of
now
Scientology celebrities that were in all these films.
Oh, now they got to.
And when they leave, they have to reshoot them all because you can't have "Show me a motherfucking clear" in all the films that you're watching.
That was when he was smart.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason. He has like a little raspy voice. That's how he talks. Anyway, but when we shot with Danny for that movie, he was a young teenager, and I don't think, I'm pretty sure he never did another film with us after that, because he was on, you know, whatever the shows were, That 70s Show, and his brother Chris Masterson. Is it Malcolm in the Middle? He's in another show where he was an actor too. So
thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.